Chapter 25, Section 4, Allied Victories. Turning Points in the European War. The war first turned against Hitler in Africa. After hard fighting, the Allies had full control of North Africa by May 1943. Battles in the Soviet Union. Soviet and German soldiers fought over the Soviet city of Stalingrad for 3 months, but the German army finally surrendered. Then the Soviets beat the Germans around the city of Kursk. Hitler had failed to capture the Soviet Union. The fight for Italy. In July 1943, Allied soldiers began their attack on Italy. The Italian government wanted to surrender, but German soldiers took over the job of defending Italy. Bloody fighting continued, but the war was turning against Germany. The cross-channel invasion. British and U.S. leaders decided to invade France. Before they did this, they used strategic bombing against the Nazis. By bombing places where supplies were made, they hoped to weaken the German army. D-Day. June 6, 1944 is known as D-Day. On the morning of D-Day, many Allied troops sailed from British ports and landed on beaches in France. The Germans fought the Allies, but by the end of the day, around 155,000 Allied soldiers were on shore. Soon, these soldiers began freeing France from German control. Victory for the Allies in Europe. As Allied forces moved toward Germany from Belgium, the German army struck back. In December 1944, they attacked the Allies in the Battle of the Bulge in Belgium. But the Allies won the battle and continued moving toward Germany. Around the same time, the Soviets moved toward Germany from the east. And as they took over Berlin, Hitler killed himself instead of being captured by the Soviet army. The war in Europe ended with an Allied victory on May 8, 1945. The war in the Pacific. World War II still continued in the Pacific Ocean. The United States followed a plan of island hopping. This meant that the United States would capture one island in the Pacific after another to get closer to Japan. In late 1943, the Allies began this island hopping. The war in East Asia. Throughout the war, Japan tried to control more of Asia. Japan wanted to capture India and Burma. These places sent supplies to Chinese nationalists, Japan's enemy. The Japanese invaded Burma and continued toward India in December 1941. This began a 3-year fight against British and Indian soldiers. The final push against Japan. By August 1944, the U.S. Navy had captured islands close to Japan, including the Philippines. British and Indian soldiers forced the Japanese to leave India. Iwo Jima and Okinawa. In February 1945, U.S. soldiers beat the Japanese on the island of Iwo Jima, and in April 1945, U.S. soldiers attacked Okinawa. The Japanese responded with kamikaze attacks. This means that Japanese pilots flew their planes directly into American ships. Tens of thousands of Japanese died defending Okinawa. The atomic bomb. The United States realized that invading the main islands of Japan would lead to many deaths. So the U.S. president decided to use the atomic bomb against Japan. An atomic bomb could destroy an entire city. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima. At least 80,000 people were killed right away. When Japan did not give up immediately, the United States dropped a second bomb on Nagasaki on August 9th. Japan surrendered and on September 2, 1945, World War II ended. Costs of the war. World War II was the worst war in history. At the end of the war, millions of people had no homes. Bombing had destroyed large areas of Europe and Asia. Around 50 million people had died. Some of these were people who were killed by dictators, who wanted to get rid of anyone who might speak against their governments.